If I flip a coin 5 times in a row, and each and every time it's turned heads, what do you think the next turn will be? It's easy to say tails in this scenario because we've turned heads so many times in a row. But the reality is, the probability is equal. For the 6th toss, it could just as well be heads for a 6th toss than it could be tails. This example illustrates a cognitive bias called gambler's fallacy. We frequently see this across multiple areas of finance, including investing and even our spending patterns. But before we get into gambler's fallacy and what it is and how to avoid it, let's start with a quick disclosure. Please note that this video provides just general financial education and is not personalized investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services. Please consult with a qualified professional for advice tailored to your specific financial situation. Cool? All right, let's get started. Gambler's fallacy is the mistaken belief that if a certain occurrence occurs enough times in a row, then the opposite effect is somehow due. Just like in the example of this coin toss, if we toss and it turns up heads 5 times in a row, then we kind of feel like tails is due. The odds are 50-50 every single time with a coin toss. Yet we feel like the trend should reverse, even though the probabilities remain exactly the same. The coin does not care about what turned before. This is most frequently seen in investing, speculation, trading, and of course, gambling. So let's cover a few examples. Example number 1. Let's say someone has been watching a cryptocurrency for a while. The markets are doing well, but the token continues to decline. It's easy for someone to believe that it's simply suppressed or undervalued. This person may end up over-allocating funds to it and continue to see the token decline. But they think, man, this has to bounce back at some point, right? Or take example number 2. Let's use the example of a day trader or someone who frequently trades assets in hopes of profiting off of short-term price movements. This person has lost money on the last 4 trades and thinks, I'm due for a big win. So they double down on their next position, hoping to recover their losses from the 4 bad trades. But the market doesn't really care about his streak, and he ends up losing even more. This is classic gambler's fallacy. You're chasing a scenario because you think luck is owed to you. It's a trap in casinos, day trading, and anywhere else that chance plays a role. Let's cover a third example. Let's say someone has been saving money and living frugally for weeks. They've been working hard trying to pay off some debt and have been very careful about their spending. They end up going out with some friends and spotting something that they really want. Because they've been really good about their spending the last few weeks, they end up splurging on the item and it completely blows up their savings plan. That feeling of being due a financial reward can really derail our financial progress, even if it's not quite so obvious as gambling. So how do we spot this within our own lives, and what do we do about it? Here are 3 red flags to help you spot gambler's fallacy in your own life. Red flag number 1, you're obsessed with streaks. If you're constantly tracking wins and losses and then making decisions based on those, that's a red flag. That's like thinking, oh, this stock has been going down for a long time. It's bound to come back up at some point. Or, hey, that slot machine hasn't hit in 30 rolls. We're bound to hit at some point. That's a red flag. Red flag number 2 is you feel owed something. If you're thinking, I've lost so much, the universe owes me a win, that's the cognitive bias talking. Red flag number 3 is you ignore data for hunches. If you're constantly making financial decisions based on a gut feeling instead of data, research, and strategy, then that could be an indication that you are experiencing gambler's fallacy. So now that we know what gambler's fallacy is and how it can show up, what do we do about it? Strategy number 1 is to understand randomness. First, we have to get comfortable with randomness. Not everything is predictable. In fact, there's very little that's actually predictable. Independent events like stock price changes or casino games don't really care what occurred before. We have to remind ourselves that no streak can predict the outcome into the future. Even though within investing, there's a common adage that says the trend is your friend. But the whole saying is the trend is your friend until the end. At some point, that trend may not continue. This is precisely why financial professionals say that past performance does not indicate future returns. Just because something has gone up or gone down does not mean that it will continue to go up or down. The inverse is also true, which is why strategy 2 is so important. We have to base decisions based on data. We have to invest based on research, not hunches or gut feelings. The term do your own research is oversimplified and dramatically underappreciated by most investors. This is one reason why diversification is so important. It helps to spread risk. If you're tempted to invest in something just because you think that it's due, you have to pause yourself and ask, what is the evidence of that? Strategy number 3 is to set clear rules. We have to create clear rules for where we spend money, how we invest, and the process that we use. For example, with a budget, it sets clear guidelines and rules for how we spend, save, and invest our money. And rules aren't supposed to be suppressive. They're supposed to bring freedom. They take the emotion, the fallacies, the cognitive biases out of the decision. This is why financial planning is so important. It kind of automates all of the decision making and becomes a step-by-step instruction book on what you're supposed to do, when, and why. Strategy number 4 is to take breaks and reset. If you're feeling caught in a losing streak or you feel like something is due to you, then I encourage you to take a walk, clear your head, speak with a friend. We can't make good financial decisions based on emotional panic or uncertainty. A clear head can help you see through the fallacy and avoid making rash decisions. When we make decisions in a panic state, it can be financial or any other decision really. It most often leads to a negative outcome. This is also why having a long-term perspective whenever it comes to investing helps to reduce stress during times of high volatility. With all of these cognitive biases and emotions that we feel, part of human behavior, that often impact our finances, the most important thing here is to be self-aware of what you're experiencing. We have to be self-aware about how we think and feel about money and how it impacts our decisions. Most of our success whenever it comes to managing money is all predicated based on the way that we think and feel about money. So whether you are investing, budgeting, or just trying to be financially savvy, remember not to make decisions based on what you feel is due. Make sure that all of your decisions are based on clear guidelines, research, and data, not hunches. What's your biggest takeaway from today? Drop it in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you found this at all interesting or helpful, I would genuinely appreciate a like on the video and subscribe to see more content about life, money, and behavior. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tails. 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 Come on, heads. Tails. Heads. Got it.